Hello everybody, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to talk about SAT subject test literature and its question types. Now before we go about preparing for a test, we need to understand the types of questions that will be asked in the test. So, in order to understand, let me remind you that you will have to answer approximately 60 multiple choice questions in the test. So each question will have 5 answer choices. So when you're working through it, of course, you must remember that you will have to work on your process of elimination to get rid of the wrong answers. A little bit about the scoring. You must remember that every correct answer will be worth 1 point. Followed by, here we have incorrect, here we have negative marking. So every incorrect answer, and you lose 1/4 of the points. Of course, unanswered questions are worth 0 points. Now let's move on to the common question types that are often seen on the SAT subject test literature. The first type of question is the main idea questions, followed by line-specific questions, then except questions, and of course vocabulary and context questions. Fifth type is Roman numeral questions. Sixth, questions testing literary terms. And seventh, questions testing rhetorical devices. So we will be discussing all of these questions in detail in the section below. Let's deal with the first type of question called the main idea questions. As the name suggests, the main idea questions deal with the passage as a whole. So when you're working on main idea questions, you will have to read the passage properly. You will have to understand, or rather comprehend the passage properly, and then and only then you will be able to answer the main idea questions accurately. We have subtypes here. These are all different types of main idea questions. The first one is a primary purpose questions. Primary purpose questions are not very different from the core main idea questions. The way to work such questions is also similar. Next, we have the speakers or narrators tone-related questions, followed by the author's attitude question, and we have the manner of the passage's development questions or structure questions. All of these questions have a common way or common approach. What you need to keep in mind is you need to notice ideas that are repeated throughout the passage. This is a typical example of the type of question that you will find in the main idea question set. So questions can be termed as a poem can best be explained as. So if you do not understand and comprehend what kind of a poem it is and what the poem is trying to actually present or portray, answering such questions will not be very easy. So take a look at this other example here. The main purpose of the passage is most likely that of. So you can see that it is asking you about the main purpose of the passage as a whole. So the right answer will obviously be related to the entire passage and not a particular section of the passage. Moving forward to the next type of question called line reference questions or line specific questions. These questions are actually localized because we are given a line number to refer to. Okay, so here you can always use the line number to refer to the text and get the answer out of that. Often it is seen that these questions are placed in the chronological order of the text. Now there are various subtypes here. The first type is called the detail questions. These questions are very direct. They actually have literal options. So, of course, each such question will be further explained and elaborated when you start working on the passage as a whole. The second type is called the vocabulary in context. The vocabulary in context questions can be placed under line reference questions because these two give us a specific line number, followed by the imply questions. Now, imply questions focus more on implied or intended meaning. Okay, so these are more figurative than literal. Figurative answers. All right. Take a look at this typical example here. Now, here you can notice that the question has a line number given. In lines 2 to 4, how does the narrator make the gathering of snakes sound agreeable? So, in order to work on such a question, what we can do is we can go to the given text and take a look at lines 2 to 4. Once you read the given lines 2 to 4, you will realize that in order to gain context, you will have to read a little bit more than that. So, we will read perhaps from line 1 to line 5 in order to gain context, and hence come to the right answer through the process of elimination. Okay, moving on to the next question type. These question types are called except questions. Except questions have more than one right answer. More than one right answer. Now, how is that possible, right? Not very difficult. What happens is that you don't have to choose the right answers here. You will have to choose the option which is wrong. And that is what we mean by an except situation or except question. Out of the five options, okay, out of 5, 4 will be incorrect and 1 correct. Now here, this correct is your right answer. In other words, take a look at this question. We have all the following could be said of lines 7 to 8 except that. That means out of all the options given here, Answer choices A, B, C, and E are correct about the given line numbers, but option D is not correct about the line number, and hence that becomes our right answer in this question. Moving on to the next set of questions called vocabulary in context questions. Vocabulary in context question, as the name suggests, actually ask you about the meaning or definition of a word. And the word is pretty simple, but here the crux is that you need to define the word based on the context of the passage. That's why the term in context. Usually these questions deal with pretty simple words, but these words are used in an unusual manner. So that is what you should be able to identify, detect, and then select the right option. So you can take a look at the example here. We are to look for the word survive in line 6. So if you take a look at the word survive in line 6, it says survive their joy and all which hours we call. So here in this context, option you can actually get rid of the options based on the meaning that you can come up with. You keep eliminating the incorrect options, or rather the options which do not match the word in its given context, and henceforth come to the right answer. Let's take a look at the next type of question. Such questions are called Roman numeral questions. Roman numeral questions typically look like these. As you can see on the paper, that Roman numeral questions are not very different from accept questions. Because there may be more than one right answer. You will be given a series of items here, and these items are listed with Roman numerals. And you will be asked which options apply to the question in hand. Let's take a look at the example. The question says, which of the following do lines 1 to 4 feature? As you can see, we have 4 options given in Roman numerals. And here, and the answer choices include a combination of these 4 options. And you will have to gain context, understand and gain context, and then select an option which applies. In this case, the right option is option E. Now we are to talk about the 6th type of questions, and these questions are testing us on our knowledge of literary terms. So questions related to literary terms are basically trying to find out if you have an understanding of the literary terms. There are many literary terms in the English language, and of course, one has to have a good understanding and knowledge of the literary terms and study those with examples. Take a look at the question here. This example shows that the poem can be categorized as. So each term mentioned, such as a sonnet, a pastoral, heroic couplets, blank verse, or a villanelle, these are all different literary terms which can be categorized as different types of poems. So, given the context, you will have to study that and get to the right answer. The 7th type of question that we will talk about today are questions that test us on rhetorical devices. Rhetorical devices are not uncommon. I'm pretty sure students are aware of the simpler rhetorical devices such as the metaphors and similes, which are devices of comparison. and many more. So these questions tests us on our knowledge about literary devices and how these are used to embellish language. Take a look at the question here. Lines 5 and 9 both feature. Now we will have to identify what lines in lines 5 and 9 are featuring. If you take a look at line 5, fair Flora may resume her fragrant reign, and with her only flowery riches deck the plain. Coming to line number 9, showers mix descend, and dews the gems disclose. Take a look at the use of the alphabets F in fair and F in Flora and F in fragrant. And in line 9, descent, D in descent, D in dews, and D in disclose. This is clearly a case of alliteration where consonant sounds are repeated. So we end up selecting B as our answer and eliminate the rest. Okay, guys, this was all about the different types of questions or common question types that are found on the SAT literature. Thank you for your attention. And if you want to get access to more such content, please subscribe to our channel and feel free to post your comments down below.